Today on the bench, well, almost on the bench, on the virtual sauna bench, all the way over from the United States to Great Britain, we welcome Lewis Jenkinson. He's in the absolute midpoint of England, just north of Manchester. And with the rise in interest of sauna, real sauna, not light bulbs or toaster ovens or other minimally ventilated fragmentations, it is interesting to learn how others have become impassioned with and driven towards advancing the authentic sauna experience in their lives and for others. It's a simple formula, really, and in Lewis's case, his drive towards authentic sauna was propelled through his resonating positivity of contrast therapy, cold water immersion. We'll hear his journey while martial arts training, then cold immersion therapy, and onto the sauna bench itself. Lewis's unfulfilling sauna experience at the gym sauna, heated by a toaster oven with 9 rocks and terrible ventilation, has driven him deep into the depths of discovery into authentic, quality sauna experience. Many of us, curious enough, can become knowledgeable about good sauna and are in clear understanding of the holy trinity of good sauna: heat, steam, ventilation. And Lewis is right there with us, a kindred spirit of good heat. Our Sauna Talk topics of conversation today, at the end, you're going to hear about his trip to Germany, and we save it till the end, and I want you to stick around for that. I think you'll really enjoy hearing about Therma Erding, the world's largest spa just outside of Munich. We'll hear about his history with sauna, about getting hooked, and his diagnosis with Asperger's and ADHD, which made total sense given difficulty with focus, stress, anxiety, insomnia, things that we all suffer from, basically, but how sauna has really helped him personally with his life. The Cedar Sauna Company, his transition into this business full-time. He knew he needed his own sauna, and he started a mobile sauna company to share with the UK, but then began to import and build barrels from Russia. Realized not to rely on imports and studied sauna construction. Bespoke is the British term for building saunas from the ground up. So sauna in the UK, we're going to talk about the scene over there and how it's growing like crazy. And what is good heat? I alluded to that above. Manageable and breathable. A heat which initially seems mild, but creeps up on you almost imperceptibly, sending your heart rate higher and higher until you have to leave the hot room. A cold plunge is essential, and the thought of which helps Lewis keep within the heat a little longer. And I can totally relate to that. I mean, I love cold water immersion, but when I'm sitting in a vanto or in a hole in the ice, usually my mind is going, to the present moment, but it's also quite candidly going to, where the fuck am I going to go when I get out of here? And to know you have a hot sauna close by really gives me a mental clarity to hang out in the ice bath that much longer. I think you can relate. So we talk about this really great infographic that Lewis and I developed in 2019 to help, and Lewis is going to read from that. And so I encourage you to stick around. It's also on the post on this website about hydrate, heat up, steam, cool down, repeat, eat afterwards. And then my recurring Sauna Talk questions. So stick around for that. And without further ado, please welcome Lewis Jenkinson to Sauna Talk. This show is brought to you by Sauna Times, publisher of Sauna Build, Start to Finish, the ebook on how to build a sauna, as well as the sister product, Sauna Help, one-on-one consultation services. At Sauna Times, we have a clear understanding of how much hot air is out there surrounding sauna construction, do's and don'ts. The author, me, has invested 10,000 hours researching, collaborating, and driving crazy professional sauna builders from across the big pond in order to bring you a simplified, easy-to-understand guide to help you attack your own sauna project. Dozens, perhaps hundreds of contractors have benefited from Sauna Build Start to Finish. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of DIY enthusiasts have benefited from Sauna Build Start to Finish.
The accolades come in, and Glenn hasn't yet had time to publish any of them, but he does this for the advancement of good sauna, something that is deeply needed in North America and beyond. In the book, we address such pedantic concerns as off-gassing, off-goosing, thermal bridging, thermal barriers, and the yellow and red cards issued for law of Lolu infractions. In the book, you'll get some simple, straight direction and ideas surrounding such things as siting your sauna, electric versus wood-fired, sizing the hot room, what glass to use, setbacks, duct boards, ventilation, on and on. And on does not mean rolling your eyes because you're lost in the weeds. This is straight talk, written by a guy whose day job is not construction, but whose life is dedicated to good heat. Dating back to his first sauna build in 1996, which, by the way, is still humming along just fine at his island cabin along the shores of Lake Vermilion in northeast Minnesota, Glenn has built several saunas with his own hands. He has dedicated himself to helping others and sauna builders start their businesses and hone their craft. Finally, and maybe most importantly, Glenn doesn't prescribe to know it all. The book has been tuned and clarified thanks to the engagement and input of other DIY sauna enthusiasts just like you. Sauna Build 2nd edition is out now and available at www.saunatimes.com. Now, on to the show. And here we are, and welcome to Sauna Talk. And, I've said this before, one of the great things of technology and even COVID is it's really broadened the spectrum of Sauna Talk. All my episodes, 40, whatever, 50, maybe there's 60 episodes now. I've really tried to do them on the sauna bench because it keeps a lot of unilateral integrity to a conversation. But there is no better than right now. I'm in Buffalo, New York, and you can see in the background, I'm with my mother, and my mother is an acclaimed watercolorist, and I'm surrounded by art in Buffalo, New York. And I see Lewis here, Lewis joining us from Great Britain, and he's surrounded by a lot of cooking and spices in his kitchen. So Lewis, I want to welcome you to Sauna Talk.
Hi, Glenn. How are you doing?
That's great. It's great. And tell us where this podcast finds you.
So I'm at my house in Stoke-on-Trent, North Staffordshire. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, Glenn. I've been following you for a long time now, and having the chance to be on this podcast is just an absolute honor. So thank you very much for inviting me.
Well, the honor and pleasure is all mine, brother. I've been following you since the beginning. We are kindred spirits on so many levels, and it's truly my pleasure to bring your voice to other sauna enthusiasts. And I thought it would be wonderful to just dive right into it. There's no better place to start than the beginning. If you could just share with listeners your history with sauna and what brought you to the authentic sauna experience. And before I do, frame up again where we are. Like we know Great Britain and we know London. You're north?
Yes. So most people know where Birmingham is. It's around about the center of Great Britain. I grew up in a city called Coventry, which is the centralmost city. It's the city furthest from the sea in Britain. But I moved to about 90 minutes north from Coventry, about an hour north of Birmingham, to a place called Stoke-on-Trent. It's the northernmost city in Staffordshire. It's about an hour south of Manchester, so halfway between Birmingham and Manchester.
And Manchester is home to the Smiths, New Order, and all kinds of great music. We are kindred spirits in music, but and maybe we'll touch upon music and sauna in a relativity. But again, let's start at the beginning. What's your first memory of sauna, and what really brought you to sauna, Lewis?
Well, my first memory of sauna, sadly, is a really poor example. One of the common types of examples that you'll find in a gym. nestled in the corner at the back of the gym. Some really poorly designed, stuffy sauna with an underrated heater and a sprinkling of rocks. So that was my first experience of sauna. I was only really using it for extra benefits associated with the training that I was doing, but also to help me last a little bit longer in the cold water, because that was my thing. The cold water therapy. It actually all started way back when I started martial arts, which was about 14 years ago. Previous to that, I was trying all sorts of ways, not always the best ways, to alleviate symptoms of stress, anxiety, insomnia, and general restlessness. I started martial arts, which was one of the best things that ever happened to me. And shortly after that, started to get into diet and exercise in preparation for tournaments and competitions. A couple of years after I started there, one of my training partners suggested that I tried ice baths and cold showers, which was just a revelation. I can't tell you how much that has helped me. It's helped me with sleeping at night, to calm my restlessness. It helps me to function a little better in the morning. When I wake up, instead of being grumpy and irritable, I'm quite lively and happy after I've had my cold shower. And I just feel great. To help me cope with the cold shower, I started to study breathing techniques, because it took me a good year to get used to it. I used to sit at the side of the shower whilst it was running cold, just watching it run for a good 10 minutes before I could persuade myself to just go in and cool off. So I used to practice breathing techniques, learning how to control my breathing and to breathe with my gut and my diaphragm, and to slow my heart rate. And that helped me to meditate whilst I was in the water. And eventually just my thoughts just disappeared and everything became quiet and serene.
Yes, Lewis, what year was that where you really got into cold exposure? And was the Wim Hof method part of that, or did you develop your own breathing technique?
So this was about 8, maybe 9 years ago when I took my first cold shower. It was long before Wim Hof was in the news or in the media. And the breathing techniques that I developed, I was taught a lot of them by one of the higher level black belts in the martial art that I study, a guy called Ben Poppleton. He studied ancient pranayama breathing techniques. So he would teach a jiu-jitsu class, and then after class I'd pick his brains about some of these breathing techniques, which are invaluable. I recommend that people study how they breathe, because we all take that for granted. We think we all know how to do it, obviously, because we'd be dead otherwise. But it's a much deeper practice than what first seems.
Amen. Fabulous. So sauna came about as in conjunction with the breathing and the cold work, and it's quite fascinating that you've been into this well before cold exposure has become as popular as it is. You were brought to it because of your martial arts work, and it really, in summary, it's really helped you mentally as well as physically in your training. And then sauna. Okay, so you had been balancing the cold with heat, and you started to realize that eight sauna rocks on a little toaster oven on the wall in the back corner of your health club is not adequate. What was the light bulb or compelling reason to get into sauna a little bit more authentically or enriching? And what year was that? And what would tell us about your journey into good sauna?
So sauna came a little bit after the cold immersion and the breathing techniques. It was the last pillar of health that I've managed to discover. And this was maybe 5 years ago when I'd had saunas before, but never really registered that it was something that I'd be becoming so passionate about. So I started taking saunas around the UK because I used to work away a lot as an electrician. And I'd find the nearest hotel or whatever that had a sauna in there. And I initially only used the sauna as a way of heating my body past baseline, where I could then spend longer in the cold water. Mm-hmm. So I would cool down to baseline, and then I'd have the extra time going below baseline in the cold water. So for me, the extra time in the cold water was where I like to be meditating and sometimes even having out-of-body experiences.
Right on.
I only really discovered these out-of-body experiences when I was using cold water in conjunction with saunas. But all the while, I knew something wasn't right because I never really enjoyed the sauna. It was just something I forced myself to do because I knew it was beneficial and I knew the cold was waiting for me outside. It wasn't until
one quick interjection, Lewis. Back to that time. So what I just want to frame up what was happening here is you would engage in the sauna first as a encouragement for your cold plunge, and that was the order: heat, then cold. Is that right?
No, it was always cold, then heat, then cold.
So it was a reward for after your cold. Is that how you did it? Cold, then heat.
Like I can do the cold and then just put my clothes on and I'm happy. But I noticed that I could spend longer heating up if I started cold. Mm-hmm. My first round in the sauna would always be the shortest. So I just started cold and it would make a normal sauna round then. I would start cold and then go in and heat up. And that would allow me to stay in longer than I normally would have. And then I could spend even longer in the cold afterwards. And you kind of get stuck in a loop going back and forth from the hot and cold.
Yeah. And I would say stuck. Let's be generous to the word. We were rewarded by the contrast therapy. Yeah. It's a good place to be stuck, right, brother? It's a good place to be stuck.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Okay, so keep us going on that. So then what happened relative to sauna for you?
I knew something wasn't up. It was unenjoyable, and around about that time where I was discovering saunas, I was looking for media and particularly podcasts that I could listen to whilst I was driving, and I used to drive a lot. I still do. That was when I found the likes of Joe Rogan and Rhonda Patrick, and I found Rhonda a little bit difficult to listen to sometimes because she comes out with some fantastic information, but I find it very technical and hard to keep up with. I think it was, I can't remember if this was right, but I think I found your podcast through Rhonda's. So I started listening to yours, and after the first episode and realized there was so many more to go through, I was absolutely hooked, and I was listening to 2-3 episodes in the same journey on playing one after another. I absolutely loved them. You are the reason that I have managed to find this other world of sauna history and culture and everything else that goes with it, community, design, construction, the whole lot. It's your podcasts that have introduced me to all of this.
Well, I'm very humbled, brother. It's very spiritual to me to hear you say that. We are really bonded on so many levels, and that is humbling. Very humbling for me to hear. I figure if Sauna Talk can help one person in their life and become stronger with contrasts and good heat, well, I've done a good job. So you not only made my day, but you've probably made my week. So I appreciate those kind words. But you did not just say, hey, I want to a sauna for myself. I mean, you've really leaned into this. Can you share with listeners and give us a little date stamp of what came next and what you're doing now? Like, take us up to the present in terms of your commitment to sauna.
So I knew I needed a sauna. I needed my own sauna, and they're hard to get. They're big, they're expensive. I just didn't know how I could afford my own sauna. So I had an idea that I was going to justify the costs of a sauna by hiring one out. And I built a sauna on a trailer with the intention of driving it around the UK like a complete nutcase, turning up at events and jiu-jitsu workshops and camps and sharing it with all my training buddies, and hiring it out as a way of paying for itself. I had trouble finding the right sauna because of some of the technical information that I'd found on your podcasts and that I'd gone on to read about through sauna construction books. I wasn't really satisfied with the standard of saunas that were available in the UK with the online shops. I'd kind of had it in my head that I wanted a barrel sauna. This was mainly due to the aesthetic appearance of it and how it would catch people's eye as I was driving it around. So I eventually started looking elsewhere around Europe for a barrel sauna, and I came across a chap in the Czech Republic called Philip Gottstein, who was bringing these barrels in from Moscow in Russia. The same barrels that your friend at B Saunas is using. So I sent an email to Philip and told him what my plans were. And he said, well, why don't you be the UK's first distributor of this company? So being very mechanically minded and experienced in construction, and kind of not really being happy as an electrician at the time, I thought, why not? I'll give it a go. So I started advertising and the orders just kept coming in.
Fantastic. What year was that where you contacted Philip Gottstein? And what is the name of the barrel sauna company?
It was 2018, and the original company that I had was called Regenerate Saunas. And my reasoning for that is because saunas helped me to regenerate not just my body but also my mind. I worked a lot. I trained hard. I've got a young family. I found myself very tired and depressed a lot of the time. So saunas would give me that industrial strength relaxation, crammed into such a short period of time, that regenerated me and helped me carry on with the same momentum.
Thank you. Right. And then you have since changed the name of the company, and fill us in a little bit on that.
So Regenerate is something that I'm definitely coming back to. My plans with Regenerate originally were to have a relaxation retreat that all people could come to and use. My dream was to have somewhere out in the woods next to a river or some body of water where there's a sauna, some bell tents, an outdoor fire, something cooking, a cold plunge, just all the stuff where you could just go and unwind and maybe spend the night looking at the stars. That kind of took a sideline because construction just took over. The orders were flying in. So I decided to open a company called the Cedar Sauna Company. I called it the Cedar Sauna Company because from what I'd researched, I figured that Canadian cedar, Siberian cedar, the cedar was the most prestigious material that you could use in sauna construction. It's very durable and long lasting. It's naturally resistant to rot and fungal growth. It's light and insulative, and it smells amazing. So this is why I called it the Cedar Sauna Company.
It sounds like a metaphor for, I can't speak to smelling amazing, but it sounds like a metaphor for you, Lewis.
Sure.
You seem light on your feet, very durable, very hardy, and sustainable. So beautiful. The Cedar spoke to you, and Cedar Sauna Company is a sauna builder in Great Britain, in simple terms, right?
Yeah.
But
so I realized that I couldn't rely on importing barrels as a viable business model. And so I then started to study deeply sauna design and construction and the associated regulations that come from countries like Finland and Estonia and Germany. So I started looking into creating my own saunas from scratch using locally sourced materials. And that way I wouldn't have to rely on suppliers from, not just Europe, but, Russia and way out there, where we've had a lot of issues over the last couple of years with Brexit and COVID and supply chain issues and even war. It's all been going off. So I thought that was a smarter move to make.
Love it. Love it. And we collaborated together early on. You're quite good at computer renderings and design work. So I'd like to put in the show notes a piece that you and I did to help people new to sauna. I call it the butts on the bench business, where sauna businesses, they charge a certain amount of money, and then you show up for an hour and a half and you sauna and you make sure to bring your towel, and that sort of business is popping up like crazy in Great Britain as well as here in the States. So I just want to give a shout out to a really cool infographic that you and I developed. That infographic was printed and is on the door, the cool down room at the 612 Sauna Society. And I know others have applied that infographic. It's really cool. I mean, you and I, we simplified the sauna process, to help people. And I kind of wish I had it on screen so I could just speak to the elements, but most listeners know some of the core elements. Hey, when you're hot, you leave. When you're cold, you go in. Listen to your core, not your skin. Hydration. These are all sort of, let's say, universal principles to help people enjoy a good sauna session. So I want to give a shout out to that infographic, and here it is. Sauna tips. And hey, Lewis, would you mind reading the sauna tips real quickly and number them? Let's just pull it out.
So first of all, these sauna tips were pulled from your podcasts, the advice that was given from some of your interviewees. I then mocked up quite an in-depth. Every bullet point was a few paragraphs, and you got in touch and said, how about we just make this a bit more digestible? And you helped me to thin it all down. So we've got sauna tips to maximize health benefits. And at number 1, we've got hydrate, and it says to make sure to drink a pint of water before starting your session, and 2 pints for every hour spent inside the sauna thereafter. Consider mineral water containing electrolytes, magnesium, and zinc to replenish lost salts. So that was number 1. Number 2, we've got heat up. Relax where you are comfy, either on the upper or lower bench. The sauna is a safe place. People have been enjoying this practice for thousands of years. Number 3, steam. Steam is a beneficial addition to the sauna. It acts as a wash to cleanse the skin after sweat has pushed dirt out from the pores. Steam, or low loop, is a very spiritual element to good sauna. As a courtesy, ask others if they are ready for steam before tossing water on the rocks. Shall I continue?
Please, this is beautiful.
Number 4 is cool down. So you exit the hot room when the thought of jumping into a lake is about the best idea you've ever had. You could try a cold plunge, a shower, or a swim. Listen to your core, not just your skin, and enjoy some fresh air until your body is completely cooled. Number 5 is repeat. After a complete cool down, heart rate and blood pressure are most often lower than baseline. This is a great time to consider entering the sauna room to enjoy another round. And then 6 is eat afterwards. Try not to eat within a couple of hours before starting a sauna session. Be careful with alcohol, as it can affect your ability to regulate your body temperature. After finishing your sauna session, enjoy some food and beverage of choice and tell someone how great you feel.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lewis. And it was spoken even better with that great accent you have. That took some time. I mean,
it did.
I think, I also think that piece stands the test of time. To me, that there's so many great tips or foundations for a good sauna practice in there. So thank you. And we will link to that infographic within our show notes. So let's move forward here. You came back from an amazing trip, and I would love, I want to hear about it. And I want to just dive right into it. And before I do, to stay chronological. So are you still an electrician? Are you primarily building saunas? Is the Russian barrel in addition to your arsenal, or have you moved a little bit away from it? Just give us a little bit of a framework on what life is like today for you with the Cedar Sauna Company.
So I was an electrician for Stoke-on-Trent City Council until the day that lockdowns were announced. On that day, I was laid off as a subcontractor, and it was that day I knew that I needed to get my ass into gear and figure something out. I'd been looking at this. I've been looking at the Cedar Sauna Company for a while at that point, but not really made any progress. So I used the opportunity to set up office in the kitchen, the one just behind me. I had a calendar on the wall. I had my printer set up, my laptop, and I spent all day, every day, building the website, building the company, and contacting customers, partners, people involved in the British Sauna Society, and just trying to, just trying to make this thing happen. Orders started coming in very quickly, and when the lockdowns were released, I hit the ground running, and I'm proud to say that I've been full-time the Cedar Sauna Company for the last 2 years. I've just completed my second year as a limited company. It's been working great.
Great. And tell us about the product then. Are you still doing the barrels? Have you pivoted more towards stick frame? Give us a little preview of that.
So if you were to go onto the website, you would see that I offer design and consultation services. I use a 4-step method on the website. If you would like me to build you a bespoke sauna, then we would still start with the consultation. We would then move on to design. I would source and supply the materials, and then arrive and build on site. So even if you just want in the materials from me, we still need to go through that consultation and design process. I need to make sure that everything's right for you. So the barrels are still on there. They're still very popular. I've just come back from a trip to the Czech Republic via Erding in Germany to pick up some barrels. I also have some more modern looking structures that are coming in from Estonia. They're using some very innovative technology for electrical heaters, which circulate the heat and the steam around the room. They reduce the stratification between the lower and upper temperatures and create a very oxygenated and manageable environment. They're calling these the sauna cubes. So I have my two options. I have the traditional looking barrels and the modern looking sauna cubes to order, and either be delivered in one piece, or in the case of the barrels, be constructed on site. But I'm predominantly bespoke indoor and outdoor builds at this moment.
Beautiful job. Let's talk about barrels really quickly, and then we're going to dive right into your trip to Czechoslovakia. So I'm talking to you from America in the United States, and I don't know what it is about this country, but everything doesn't matter what it is, whether it's pizza ovens. I'm just looking around the room here. I mean, it could be lamps, it could be anything. It all gets commoditized in this country, and it's really kind of it's a reality trip. You know, it's a race to the bottom in terms of costs. And lack of quality. And I just want to throw barrel saunas under the bus, and then I want to defend them. So let me just, I got the microphone. So that spirit has created like really shitty barrel saunas in America. And I feel bad because I've experienced this Russian barrel, and it's quality, right? Like you have the density of the wood that creates the lampa masa and the radiant heat. But in a traditional, well, I won't say traditional, in the bastardization of American style or North American barrel saunas, it's just been cheapened. You still have the 2x4 and the staves and this kind of roundness, but there's a serious compromise that happens with the lack of quality of the electric heaters that are usually spec'd with these barrel saunas because they're trying to meet a price point. So you have very poor ventilation, a very poor heat exchange. And because of that, those that know good heat in America are off to throw barrel saunas under the bus. I mean, they are a stepping stone here in this country for those to experience sauna. And there are some good barrel saunas that are being constructed. So I'm rambling, but I just wanted to create a differentiation that all barrel saunas are not created equal. You have shitty barrel saunas, and you can have good barrel saunas. And you found good barrel saunas with a lot of integrity. So long-winded, but I just wanted to create a little bit of space and difference. Do you want to comment to that?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so these barrels that I've managed to find, I can honestly say, if I can find better barrels, they will be on the website instead. They're very high spec, they're thick, they're made with Siberian cedar, which technically isn't a cedar, but neither is Western red cedar. It's a member of the cypress family. So this Siberian cedar, it has very similar properties to the Canadian cedar. It's like I say, it lasts long, it's durable, it smells nice. It's insulative, and it holds the heat well. Like you say, the lampa masa, that all directional heat that doesn't just come from a single source, it comes from everywhere. It provides this too. The round shaped barrels, they're great, but this company also makes modified shapes of barrels too. And the reason they've done this is to allow you to have multiple bench levels, which is one of the most common complaints with barrel saunas, that there's only one level of benches and that the feet get cold and there's heat above your head. You can't have the benches any higher because the ceiling curves in this round shape. So these barrels that I'm getting from Moscow, they really just look like barrels. They're actually solid construction. They're held together with screws, not the tightening bands that you see other barrels held together with. They've got thick bitumen shingle roofs to make sure that no water leaks inside. The benches are aspen, which is very soft and comfortable to sit on. And I've started to build these barrels with either a Saunum circulation device for an electrical customer or an icky wood-burning stove for a wood-burning customer. So I've taken the best barrels that I could find and the best heaters that I can find and married them together. The round barrels, they work perfectly with these circulation devices because they're designed to bring the heat down and the air up.
Beautiful. Yes. So let's transition a little bit. Again, I keep dancing around your most recent trip, and we're going to get to that really quickly. One more quick one. You and I are kindred spirits of good heat. How important is good heat, and share with us your experience with good heat and what it means to you.
So it's not just the heat for me, it's also the air, the oxygen, the environment. Good heat to me needs to be manageable and breathable. A heat which initially seems mild but creeps on you almost imperceptibly, sending your heart rate higher until you have to leave. A cold plunge is essential, and the thought of which helps me to keep in the heat a little longer.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The way I explain, good sauna, there's this holy trinity. I think about the Finns and Kimmo Ratio specifically, who's tried to distill what good sauna can be. This holy trinity of good sauna is heat, steam, ventilation. And I can't think of any better way to really summarize it. What do you think?
Ventilation is massively overlooked when it comes to sauna design and construction, and so is drainage. Drainage is usually not present at all.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I help others build their own sauna and they want to start compromising a little bit, I want to encourage them to build their sauna with the idea that kids can have a water fight in the hot room, and you don't have to get all worked up about water being thrown all over the place. Do you agree?
Yeah. Well, that's exactly how I like to use my sauna. If I'm feeling like I'm too hot, but I want to stay longer, I'll usually get the ladle and tip some water over my head, or even the bucket. People like wash in the sauna too. It's nice to be able to just not have to worry about knocking a bucket over or getting the venic out and dousing the water everywhere, all over the rocks, all over the walls.
It's such a liberating feeling, isn't it, to have built something that is just so acceptable and tolerable to intense amount of water wherever it may go, right?
Yeah, sure. And even cleaning your benches, it's if you can just go in there and hose down the benches after you've scrubbed them with lightly soaped water, then it's going to be easier to do and therefore more likely to be done. So having drains is more hygienic, in my opinion, for cleaning.
Could not agree more. Are you familiar with and do you practice the bake and breathe method to keep your saunas clean and germ-free?
The bake and breathe. So is this where after you've finished your session and you just throw another log on if it's a wood burner, or let the timer run on for another hour and open all the vents, doors and windows and allow any moisture to just...
Yeah, man. There's a lot like that. Yeah. So, my saunas, I built my cabin sauna with my friend John in 1996. And then I built my second backyard sauna in 2003. And they're both like totally showing no depreciation at all. And the reason is the bake and breathe method. And you're right, Lewis, what I'll do is after the final round, I'll pull the coals forward, bring the damper up to create, much more intense heat. It's very good for the sauna stove as well, because you're basically baking off any residual moisture that may be like on the steel itself, or, it fights back. It gets rid of that moisture that's collected around the stove. And also, that baking dries everything out really nicely, as you know. And then, so that's what I'll do. I'll bake it. And then the next morning or whatever, I'll open the hot room door and put the lowly bucket in front and allow that hot room space to breathe. Bake and breathe method.
You see a lot of saunas that don't have proper ventilation, and they're not airing them out after use, and you can tell there's a musky kind of dampness in the air, and it's not very good for your respiratory system when the convection starts happening on a heat up. You're just moving all those. Well, if there's rot or spores in the air, why would you want that?
Amen, brother. I know. And people over-engineer this stuff. You know what I mean? Like I don't use a lot of. Do you have Walgreens over there in Great Britain?
What's that?
Walgreens would be like a a drugstore, pharmacy store where they got everything. It goes on. It's like a grocery store for products for hygiene and stuff, and drugstores. Like I don't know what you'd have over there. Safeway's your grocery store, right?
Those kind of things are usually a part of our superstores or our supermarkets.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, this is just a personal thing, but I don't use any of those products in my sauna. I just have a little bar of Finish soap that I'll use occasionally for shaving, and I'm overdue for that. But I just get so clean, through the sauna experience. And I think you can relate to that. 3, 4, maybe even 5 rounds of heat, and then outdoor shower, cold immersion, back and forth. I mean, are your pores, is your body, is your soul, are you ever more clean than after a sauna session?
Never. It's not possible. No matter how hard you scrub, you just can't get as clean as a sauna will get you.
Exactly. And, the same translates to our hot rooms. Our hot rooms are like our bodies. And if you treat your sauna properly, with the bake and breathe method, or heating it and baking off, the wetness and stuff. I mean, I only spray down my benches. I only clean my sauna really in spring and fall. In living in Minnesota, in winter, I don't have access to running water because it stays consistently below freezing. So that, when I look at the calendar or look at the weather coming up, and I'm like, oh boy, yeah, this is the end. And, with climate change and stuff, the end used to be at the end of October, but I've been able to use my garden hose, through November, the last, 10 years or whatever. But when I know it's going to be consistently below freezing, that's a little trigger for me for my fall sauna clean. And then conversely, I ride through the winter. And then when it's like, oh yeah, I can get my outdoor garden hose going again. That's when I'll clean my sauna in spring. And like I say, I've been doing that for 20, 25 years, and my sauna is very clean.
So shower before your sauna, sit on a towel, scrub it with lightly soaked water, and air it out properly afterwards with some heat.
Great advice. Sage advice, Lewis. Tell us about your trip. And then I got a couple of rapid fire questions. Again, I keep avoiding this trip, but I wanted to end with your trip. And I was going to think about starting our sauna talk with your trip, but this is something. And before we get into that, and I got some rapid fire questions. Is there anything you want to share with listeners? Is there anything you want listeners to know about you, about what you're doing, about sauna? And then we're going to talk about your trip, but I want to give you the floor right here. Other topics.
Okay, right. Well, it might be worth mentioning that I've been working as a volunteer with the British Sauna Society. Things have been very busy with me, so I feel like I've been a little bit lacking in that department, but I have the role of the technical officer with the British Sauna Society, a role gifted to me after I was noticed giving solid advice out to members of some of the Facebook groups. I've also helped fundraising with some of the community sauna projects in the UK. We've got a public sauna down in Hackney at the old baths. It's the community sauna baths there. I helped fundraising. I whisked for 7 hours one time for a fundraising event. I was hot for days after that. I've also I joint manage a WhatsApp group for mobile sauna owners in the UK, people that have currently got their own businesses or are looking to open their own mobile sauna businesses. I run that WhatsApp group with a lady called Sarah Higgins, who owns the Seaside Sauna House in Seatown, Dorset. And I generally just try to give as much advice as my time allows to anybody that has any questions. I charge for my design and consultation, but I give away so much free information just because I really want people to just have a higher quality sauna. I think it's better for it's just it can't be a bad thing. I've just learned now that I've only got so much time to give, and I need to start charging for that time. But give me half an hour and I'll tell you everything you need to know. If there's anything more, then
yeah, thank you. That's so beautiful. Thanks for framing up your philanthropy as it relates to sauna. It's a delicate it's a delicate situation where this is your full-time trade. You've transitioned from being an electric tradesman to being a sauna tradesman, and I feel what you're doing. I give with all my heart as well, and I could go down my CV or resume of all the time and energy and knowledge that I've given away for free, much like yourself. And so we are kindred spirits again on this level, and that it's very hard to manage the monetization versus the passion, Lewis. You feel it?
I've been told that I'm the UK's version of Glenn Auerbach.
Well, yeah, I just feel such a well, and plus we love the same music too. I mean, I can't wait to sit on the bench, and I think our only challenge is who's going to have the sauna playlist when we get to hang out together.
Well, I'll be quite happy to hand that over to you, mate, because you're into some good stuff. I love a bit of reggae, a bit of dub.
Yeah, man.
I've got a very eclectic selection of music. I could go from rock to techno to dance to classical, 80s, 90s, noughties, all over the place.
Subject for potentially another day, but I think music and sauna can go hand in hand delicately and gently. To me, I like instrumental. I'm not going to play like, ballads, where you're distracted a little bit, but there's something like I happen to like a lot of African stuff. Tanarwin comes to mind, Mali music, where there's a lot of very resonatingly calming sitar as an instrument. The desert blues artists from Fela Kuti comes to mind. You like Fela or Femi Kuti?
I haven't heard of that, but I'll certainly be looking into it.
Nigerian, where this like Fela, he's dead now. He was big through the 80s and into the 90s and that. But I happened to see him on tour. We're talking like 20-piece orchestra. Lot of horns, double drums, instrumental, but really powerful, beautiful music. So music for sauna, it's a whole separate. It's some mellow jazz sometimes, but it's whatever puts us in that mind space. And oftentimes silence is the best atmosphere for sauna, and just listening to nature or your own thoughts, right?
Yeah, whatever makes you comfortable. Amen. It's the most important thing.
So you got back recently from a trip. Can you tell listeners about where you went and your sauna experience in your journey?
Finally, you've been making me wait for this one. I've been avoiding people, so I could leave the story for you. I've recently made a trip over to the Czech Republic to pick up some barrel sauna kits. And with most journeys that I make, I try to make the most out of them. I've got a client who's looking to have me build his banya in his spa complex in Birmingham. And I suggested that we could meet in Erding, just outside of Munich, at the world's largest spa, Therm Erding, because they had some of the equipment that I was proposing to use. I'm so happy that I got to do that. It was absolutely amazing experience. I was never too sure about the German way of doing sauna. The German sauna culture always seems just a little bit too intense, a little bit too maybe flash or gimmicky for me, and it was kind of not in line with the way I thought I would enjoy sauna, which is peaceful or quiet, relaxing with a small crowd of people. I like to do the whisking and the leaf treatments, but generally like a serene outdoor green setting was what I thought was my bag with sauna.
Mm-hmm. And plus, just to interject, plus the German style of sauna is very regimented in terms of the time. There's an attention to the clock there. Am I right?
I think that this, although is partly accurate, is a bit of a misconception with the German sauna culture. So the rules only really apply to Aufguss, and they don't always do Aufguss. This is something that they do at certain times throughout the day. For the rest of the day, the sauna is yours to use as you please, so long as you're not in a bathing suit. That's one of their only rules, really, for hygiene purposes. You must be sitting on a towel on the bench where neither your bum or your feet are in contact with the bench, and you need to have showered beforehand.
Beautiful, great.
So yeah, you're not going to get an angry German shouting at you because you've left earlier or later than you should have outside of an Aufguss session.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Tell us about the facility and specifically, it's quite large. And where in Germany is it?
So it's in a place called Erding, which is about 15 minutes from Munich Airport. They were drilling for, I think it was gas in Erding when they discovered hot springs and decided that this would be an ideal location to build the world's biggest spa resorts. I can't say to American shopping centres, but this resort is bigger than any UK shopping centre that I've been to. It's absolutely huge. And more than 1/3 of that water park is the adults only spa area where all the saunas and pools are. There's 35 saunas and steam rooms.
Wow.
There are 34 water slides and virtual reality entertainment. And there are approximately 30 pools and basins over the entire site.
Hmm.
Huge.
How much do they charge, Lewis, to enter the facility?
So you can have 2 hours, 3 hours, half a day, a whole day. A whole day will cost you somewhere in the region of 50 to 60 euros, which isn't really that much. They give you an electronic tag that looks like a watch. You wear it on your wrist. You can use that tag for opening and closing your locker, but also for buying food and drinks with, because you've got no pockets when you're textile free. So you need something.
Yeah, the whole world should work like that, right? We shouldn't have to walk around with a wallet or cash. We could just operate that way everywhere. Yeah. So how long did you spend at Erding, and how many different hot rooms did you experience?
Well, we got there late on the Thursday night, and we started at about 10 a.m. on the Friday morning, and we were there until 9 p.m. On the Friday evening. I wanted to stay until closing at 10, but we'd had some food booked at the restaurant, so we needed to go a little bit earlier. I was like a kid in a sweet shop at first. I'd already researched what kind of saunas they had, and I knew what I wanted to go and try. But you found yourself going in to look at a sauna, staying until you were profusely sweating and needed to cool down, and then wandering into another one. It got to about 2 p.m. where we decided to have a little break, and we got into the large pool in the center of the spa area and waded over to the floating bar and had a couple of beers, and we just had a swim around and just kind of just tried to make sense of everything that had just happened to us. It was all just a bit, I don't know, a bit crazy. We kind of chilled out a little bit towards the end of the day, but the next day when I woke up on the Saturday, I was due to drive up to the Czech Republic, and decided that I was just going to postpone that a little bit. And I went back into Thermodin for another 3 hours.
Round 2. Oh my gosh. Now, can you, it sounds very foggy and surreal, but about how many different hot rooms did you experience? If you had to try to put some number against that.
Maybe 12 to 15 on the first day.
And you know what I'm going to ask next, right? And everyone's going to ask you, which one was your favorite and why? But you don't have to answer that one. I just had to.
I've got two favorites.
Okay, go ahead.
My most favorite in terms of air quality and good heat, lamp and massa, and everything else that I hold as high sauna standards was the Kilo sauna. So it was a Finnish style sauna with a very large stone heater. There's actually two heaters either side of a large stone structure. Each heater had around about 500 kilogram of rock, which I'm not sure what that is in pound. Maybe, it's well over 1,000 pounds.
Correct. Yeah, 2.2 pounds. So let's call it 1,200 pounds of rock on each heater. Okay.
So yeah, double that, and that's what you've got on the heater. The benches were 3 tiers high from the floor, and the ceiling was the standard 2 fists above the head, and no higher. So the air quality, the heat quality was just fantastic in that sauna. My second favorite was the Russian banya. So this is the largest Russian banya in the whole of Europe. It's built with logs that are thicker than I am. This sauna or banya had quite a large vaulted ceiling, though. So there was lots of, in my technical mind, wasted heat up there above your head. Mm-hmm. That heater had just as much rock on it as the Kilo Finnish sauna. And it seemed to have some sort of convection device built in, blowing air from below upwards through the rocks to help transport heat around this room.
But you couldn't hear that. You could not hear air.
No,
could you?
No, it was absolutely silent. No, it was fine. It was silent. The reason that sauna was my second favorite was because of the Aufguss that I experienced in there once on the Friday, which I had to bail out. I didn't make it to the end.
Wow.
And then again on the Saturday, where I better prepared myself and had the most amazing transformative experience. I've never taken myself to that kind of level in a sauna before. I wanted to leave and then I didn't because I was in a trance, and then I come round again and it was getting difficult, and then I went back into a trance again. It was otherworldly. It was amazing.
That's so fantastic. And on that second Aufguss experience, you left with the group. It all ended. The process ended, and then you exit the hot room. And what did you do next?
Can I talk about the 2 Aufguss sessions that I did back to back, and how they merged into one another? So they have a sauna called the Seaside Sauna, which is very bright, and it has a very large glass wall all down one side, looking out onto the artificial lake that they have. This was a sauna that I didn't think I would like, because I liked dimly lit saunas that were cocoon-like and private. And I've never really been into the essences either, the different essential oils that they put on the rocks. This sauna completely changed my mind. It was very relaxing. They had calming music playing, and they had 3 rounds in which they would smash large balls of ice onto the rocks that had essences dropped onto them. And then the sauna meisters would walk up and down and gently waft that heat over the crowd. It was a very relaxing setup to what was to come, which was the Russian banya, which was way more livelier, and it was very shamanic, shall we say. Between the Seaside Sauna and the Russian banya, unlike with the Friday, I spent quite a bit of time in the cold plunge. I also scooped up a big handful of ice from a font outside and took it in with me for rubbing over my forehead and my shoulders when I was struggling a little bit. I went straight for the top bench, and the room was packed. It seated, the room was designed to seat 100 people. I'm pretty sure there was way more than that in there. It was pretty packed. Everybody was lively, chatty, hustling and bustling, waiting for the sauna meisters to come into the room, where they closed all the curtains, made it dark, turned the UV lights on above your head, and began to smash the ice on the rocks. They pulled out the soaked Venic from a font in between the two stoves and started throwing water everywhere all over the crowd. The music was pumping like a really, really cool dance music, and people were clapping in time to the music, and you were just getting into your zone as you were going through the rounds. At the end of the second round, the sauna meisters opened the door and a lot of people vacated. Maybe a third of the people in the room had decided that that was enough and they wanted to get out. I stayed, as did a few other people, and they continued with the last round. Every round builds up in intensity. And this was where I had my spiritual experience. I remember my friend saying that he looked up to me at the top bench and my eyes were closed, my hands were in the air as they were wafting hot, steamy air over everybody. Once it had ended, I hobbled down the benches, zigzagged over to the cold plunge, and spent a good 10-15 minutes meditating and just trying to make sense of what was happening to me.
Wow.
It was amazing. I can't recommend Alfgus enough.
Lovely. Thanks for sharing that. And again, tell us the name of the facility, and we're talking about near Munich Airport. The name of the facility again?
So it's in a town called Erding, where the beer Erdinger comes from. It's 15 minutes outside of Munich Airport, and the resort is called Therme Erding. Therme is spelt Therme. So Therme are a group. They have other spas around Europe. I think there's one in Austria. And they have plans to open one in Manchester and another one in Glasgow, which is just amazing. So Fantastic. It's a very good indication as to the direction the UK are going with their sauna scene.
Lovely. Thanks for sharing. Lewis, a couple other quick rapid fire questions. Can we dive right into that?
Go.
Right on, brother. And again, thank you for being a part of this this podcast. I really, really enjoyed it. I just feel so honored to be able to do this with Kindred Spirits. We're talking about something that is very, how do we summarize it? I mean, this is a religion for you and I. Probably not even the right word. It's something that we live, breathe, appreciate, want to share, and help others. So I just feel really, really grateful to spend this time with you on this Saturday. And I hope you're enjoying visit with Lewis Jenkinson, Cedar Sauna Company. Couple questions I asked most every guest, and I think this is going to be really fun for you. You mentioned about your work with mobile saunas in Great Britain specifically. Tell us about where you would like to bring a mobile sauna anywhere in the world and enjoy a sauna session.
Well, I remember one of your guests has already said space, which would be amazing and serene. Can you imagine being weightless in a sauna? Just as comfortable as can be. But I think I would be happy with any riverside landscape with some woodland where there were lots of people taking part. Everybody would be invited to strip off and enjoy the sweat.
Beautiful. As you think about a sauna experience, it need not be at this place, but maybe in your own sauna in your own backyard. Who's the first person that comes to mind that you would like to sit on the bench with, and why?
So I would really like to have a sauna with my late grandfather. He was a stoker in the Royal Navy. I think that he would have just enjoyed the sauna. He's obviously already hardened to very hot, intense environments. And I think it would have been just nice for him to be in one of those environments without having to shovel coal into the fire and just sit down and chill out a little bit.
Sounds wonderful. Lewis, you and I have talked quite a bit about the sauna session, a sauna session, the multiple rounds, the hot, the cold. Let's just say you wake up and it's going to be a sauna day for you. What is your most favorite sauna moment, from that moment you wake up on a sauna day to the moment you tuck yourself into bed when it's all over? Is there a moment you could distill that is your favorite, and why?
So the favorite bit for me is the cold plunge, and the sauna is a special way of me being able to spend longer in the cold. This is the place where my racing thoughts just give me a rest for once in a while. I struggle with my mind sometimes, so when I'm in the sauna, it's a nice place to relax and to just ease out a little bit. But it's the cold where the magic happens for me.
Beautiful. Thank you. Last question. I guess I could. I'd love to end with that. So it's almost dangerous for me to ask you another one. What do you think is most misunderstood about sauna that you would like others listening to this to understand, or at least explain?
I think the biggest misconception with sauna is that it's intense. It shouldn't be. It should feel as comfortable as a warm bath on a cold day.
Thank you. Lewis, thank you so much, man. I don't know how to end, except I'll let you take us out. Such a kindred spirit. I've wanted to visit with you on this level, and I'm just so pleased with what you're doing and where sauna is taking us individually, collectively. Take us out with listeners. Final words, thoughts on this beautiful day in fall as we think about sauna. Final words, Lewis.
Okay, so sauna it's a fantastic way to spend time with your friends and your family in a technology-free zone where you can actually talk to each other and look into each other's eyes and just be with each other. The bathing culture is something that really needs to make a comeback, not just in the UK, but around the world. A time where people are relaxed and comfortable and together, most importantly. So if you've got the opportunity to try a sauna, then please do. And if you can do that with your friends and your family, then even better.
Amen. Lewis, I can't wait to see you on the bench. I hope it's on your continent, because I can't wait to see you in your element. And we'll have some great music and enjoy a session. But I felt like we were sauning together right now, and for me, that's Sauna Talk.
Thank you very much for having me, Glenn. It's amazing. Thank you.